How's it going? Vladimir Adonis here with the Business Convo Marketing Podcast, coming to you with marketing strategies to help you win so that you can get more leads and get more customers. So essentially, today's topic is going to be marketing for rabbits. Now, I grew up, as some of you guys may already know, I grew up in a small town called Belle Glade, Florida. And in Belle Glade, Florida, there just wasn't a lot to do. And one of the activities some of the people that I know did was that they went out to the cane field and they literally chased rabbits. And I think I remember seeing an article about from ESPN that ESPN actually ran the story, and the headline for the story was something along the lines of chasing rabbits to NFL, basically lessons from the Mud City. So what ESPN did is that they did a documentary just to kind of just follow some of the guys from my hometown, Belle Glade, that chased rabbits, and how that had a correlation with them actually making it to the NFL. So what this has to do with the point that I'm looking to make today is that you have to go after people. You have to present your marketing message to people who are predisposed to do business with you, people who have some type of a desire to do business with you. So, for example, if I'm promoting a dating website, for example, I'm not going to go inside of a marriage group, a Facebook group, and start to kind of just promote my dating offer, because those people they don't have a desire to look for a date. They're already in a committed relationship. And as it relates to the rabbit example, the rabbits, they didn't necessarily want to be killed, or they didn't necessarily want to be, knocked upside the head or anything along those lines. They were running for their lives. And I think that, what essentially happens is that, these rabbits live in the cane field, and sometimes when the fire is set in the cane field, the rabbits just start to kind of just run, or they're a little bit more visible, so to speak. Now, what some of the guys in my hometown did is they would chase the rabbits. It wouldn't be very uncommon for me to see, a group of guys riding on a bicycle with with a bunch of rabbits just kind of just hanging from different parts of the bicycle. Now, that helped those guys a lot, to be honest with you. It gave them endurance, it gave them speed. And essentially the idea was, hey, if I can go inside of a cane field and chase rabbits, because the rabbits are going to be moving, they're going to be hopping, they're going to be going from left to right, up and down. So the idea is, if these guys can get so good at chasing rabbits, then when they go on a football field, they're going to be just that much more competitive. And the other thing that happened as well is that if you have a friend that went out on the cane field that chased rabbits, right, and that individual came to play with you, came to kind of just, because we played a lot of street ball as well. So if I have a friend who a lot of times went out on the cane field to chase rabbits, and I'm playing some flag football, I'm playing some street football with that individual, that person is going to be very, very good, and it's going to make me just that much better, essentially. But, ESPN aired that story just to kind of talk about the fact that I think there's been probably about 60 athletes, from 1980 up until I want to say the late 2000s, that made it to the NFL, and they were kind of just making a correlation between how, the guys in Belle Glade, the people in Belle Glade, they don't necessarily have a lot of income. And I can attest to that, because, growing up was definitely rough. We didn't have a lot, and a lot of people that I knew didn't have a lot. So, we couldn't afford some of the finer things. We couldn't afford like, good equipments. We couldn't go out and hire, A-player coaches or anything. We just had to make do with some of the resources, that we did. So although, chasing rabbits and tracking down rabbits was a good thing for people who desire to be in the NFL, people who desire to play sports, that's not necessarily a good strategy for those of us who are in business. For in business, we have to speak to people who have somewhat of a desire to do business with us. The people who have a desire to do business with us are going to be in a couple of different categories. So I'm going to kind of just break this down into 3 different categories. Category 1 is the individual that have no idea that the problem, they have no idea about the problem. They have no idea about your product or your service. So for that specific type of individual, because they don't even have the desire of the problem. The way that you need to structure your content, or the way that you need to structure your marketing, is that you need to bring attention to the problem. You need to bring attention to the fact that, hey, you know what, this problem does indeed exist. And the way that you do that is you can kind of just begin with a headline that said, 5 things you didn't know about finding the right date. Keep in mind, this person don't even know that they have this. They're not completely aware of the problem, but you're kind of just bringing attention to it. You're kind of just starting with a pain-related headline, so to speak. So that's that type of category. The second type of category is an individual that is problem aware. So this person is aware that they do have a problem, and the most effective type of content to create for this type of individual would be to kind of just present your solution. So, as a headline, if I were to write a headline for that type of category, I could say something along the lines of the most effective way to create a dating profile to attract your ideal mate. Because this individual is, is single, they're kind of just out and about, and they know that they need a mate. So they're aware that they are indeed single, but there's different modalities in which they can meet someone. They can meet someone in the grocery store. They can meet someone at a party. If I'm promoting a dating site, right? So one of the things that I'm going to do to try to bring, more attention to that individual is I'm going to talk about, the most effective way to create a dating profile to attract your ideal mate. That's how I'm going to kind of lead, because what may have happened with that type of individual is they may have met individuals at a grocery store. They may have met individuals, say, at a party, and those individuals just may have not been the right type. So I'm going to position my dating product or my dating site as a viable solution, because it's a solution that's going to allow them to create a profile. It's a solution that's going to allow them to kind of position themselves to kind of filter through the individuals that are just not the right fit. And then the third category would be solution aware. So in this specific instance, they know that they want to use a dating site, but they're just not sure as to which type of dating site to use. Hey, there's many different dating sites out there. So how do they choose the right type of dating site? So in this type of example, the type of content or the type of marketing I would present to prospect is I would show case studies, right? I would show case studies of people using my type of using my dating site in the past, and people who's been successful, people who's had long-term relationships as a result of using a dating site, people who have met on a dating site and have gone on to get married. So that's the type of content that I would use in that type of category. Once again, you have those 3 different types of categories. You have the person is not aware of the problem. You have the person that is aware of the problem, and you have the person that is aware that there is indeed a solution out there. But what product or service do we use? Hey, although I started off by talking about the whole rabbit chasing thing, you just can't use that in your marketing. You have to position yourself, first of all, in front of people who have the desire or the desire to use your products or your services. Once you are in front of those individuals, you have to know what type of content to put in front of them, so that way you can kind of just attract those type of individuals. A lot of times when we're marketing, when we're speaking to prospects, so to speak, there's usually a mix match, so to speak. You may start to talk about, you may start to present your marketing case studies to people who is not even aware of the problem. They're not aware of the solution. So there just has to be congruent, so to speak. You have to build a bridge between someone who is not aware of the problem, the person who is aware of the problem, the person who is aware of the solution. All 3 of those type of categories requires different content type. If I start to have a conversation with someone on Facebook, if I start to have a marketing conversation with a prospect on Facebook, and I begin the headline with saying 5 things you didn't know about finding the right date, and then when they get to my website, I begin to kind of just show them some case studies. Well, I'm not necessarily congruent with the type of audience that I'm speaking to. That type of audience, right? I can't necessarily present that type of message to that type of audience because I haven't bridged the gap yet, right? I haven't presented them with enough evidence that, hey, you know what, I can indeed solve your problem. And here's how I can solve your problem. So a lot of times, I think that's one of the mistakes that I was making early on as well, is that I would begin the conversation with someone, not literally, but my marketing would begin the conversation with someone out on social media, and then when they went to say a landing page, it wasn't congruent. It wasn't congruent with the original message that they saw. So it's very important that it's congruent. If you start off the conversation with someone that is not aware of the problem, you continue that conversation on your landing page. You make sure that the download or the content that you're going to give them as a downloadable content is congruent with the type of problem they're trying to solve, and then you continue the conversation. You continue the conversation from that point. Go to my website. One of the things that I'm offering for free on my website right now is a lead magnet. That lead magnet is going to help you to kind of just position a free how-to guide or free template to help your audience, to help your prospects. That's one of the best ways to begin a conversation and to begin a relationship with someone that does not know you. It's very easy for them to kind of raise their hand and say, yes, I need your help. And the way that you can do that is by giving them a lead magnet. On my website at vladimirdonis.com, you can download a free how-to video that's going to teach you step-by-step how to create a lead magnet, so that way you can start with a given hand. By starting with a given hand, you're going to be able to generate more leads. The more leads you generate, the more conversations you can have in your marketing, and the more sales that you can make. So, that's my freebie. That's the thing that I'm offering you as a result of listening to this podcast. Hey, that's my time. Thanks for listening, and talk to you next time.